Ugly.
All right, we're live.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for checking out another edition of Dead End Sports. I'm your host, 12 Kyle. Want to thank you all for tuning in as you do each and every Tuesday night. We broadcast live, and you can check us out right here on our YouTube stream. Just go to youtube.com/Dead End Sports. There's a little subscribe button there. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you follow us on all the socials. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat. We're pretty much everywhere. If you missed any parts of shows, make sure that you, as I mentioned earlier, subscribe, and you can catch us just about everywhere. Of course, a lot of sports to talk about tonight. We're going to hit it hot and heavy, the NBA coverage. Also going to dab into a little bit of the NFL. We got NBA playoffs going on. Of course, I will not be doing tonight's show alone. Got my boys in the building. Ken, what's going on?
What's good? Hey, everybody watching. Look, man. Yeah, do us all a favor, man. Subscribe to the channel and share the channel, man. If you hear FIFO say something crazy you don't agree with, share it with a friend. You guys talk it out. Get their feedback. Like, yo, is B crazy here or is he on point? Like, share the show. Have that dialogue. Leave comments. I know what I'm doing now is I'm putting timestamps to all of our shows now because every topic isn't for everybody, so you can just kind of skip to what you want to listen to, and that makes it easier for you to share the show. So definitely share the show, man. I'm putting Off the Bench podcast on here as well. I know a lot of you guys been talking to them and engaging with them and calling Q out on his BS. He's doing that, and they're actually going to be joining us tonight on the show to talk basketball with the playoffs here, so they'll be joining us in a little bit. But yeah, man, just share, subscribe, talk, hit us up on Twitter, man. If I say something crazy, hit me up, man. I'll talk to you. I'll tell you you're wrong.
No doubt, no doubt. FIFO, what's going on, man?
Yo, what's good, Kyle?
Chilling, man. Chilling. No complaints at all, man. No complaints at all. So yeah, we're gonna talk NBA primarily tonight, but like I said, we're gonna get into some NFL a little bit. But the NBA is hot and heavy, man. Playoffs have started, but before we get started on the playoffs, man, before we jump into that, we actually, since the last time that we came to you guys on this past Tuesday, a couple of events happened. A guy retired in the NBA, and a team won 73 regular season wins. Let's start first, and it was this because this happened. It was Wednesday night, if I'm not mistaken. So we've had some time to kind of digest it. We haven't spoken as a collective since then. Let's start first with Kobe, man. He goes out in his final game, puts up 50 shots, and he scores 60 points. And and they won. The Lakers won the game. Ken, I'll start first with you, man. What do you think about Kobe's performance and what he did and what it signifies as he rides off into the sunset?
It's a lot of people have said this, but it really applies, man. It's so Kobe, and you didn't know it was going to happen, but when it happened, you was like, yeah, well, did I expect any less? And the way he's played all year, yeah, you kind of, some people did, but I remember when we did the show, and you told me that they bumped Kobe in favor of the Golden State Warriors, and I remember I was like, oh, that's not a good thing. Kobe's gonna come out and he's gonna show out, man. He's going to make them pay for doing that. And yeah, it took 50 shots. But in all honesty, he did because nobody was talking about 73. And that game, from what I've heard, is one. I think the ratings on that was higher than the Golden State chase for history. And I think that said something to me, right? It said that this historic moment that the Warriors embarked on and accomplished, kind of really was for basketball heads. You know what I'm saying? Kobe transcended that. because he's been playing 20 years. He's a household name, and it's his last game. So even if you're not a diehard sports or basketball fan, you're going to tune in to watch it because it's almost like tuning in to watch Jordan's last game. And I think, even though I understood why ESPN made the decision that they made, at the same I'm like, this is Kobe, man. And Kobe went for 60, and thankfully for them, they had it on the other channel. But after that game, the very next day, the Warriors were a blip. You go to
Right.
ESPN, and all it was Kobe. You couldn't even you could barely find a headline for what the Warriors accomplished. But I thought it was great, man. What was so great about it was because I think it was the perfect way to go out. Yeah, he didn't win a championship, and that would have been the best way to go out. But it didn't happen. So how else do you go out? You go out like this. You score the last 17 points, including the shot that put your team up ahead, and you basically win the game for them as you have done before. So, Cheryl, look, I might be wrong, but I think I saw somebody said that the Lakers had a higher ratings, but if I'm wrong, then okay. So, but Kobe was close. But I have to check on that. But if I'm wrong, thank you for correcting me. But either way it go, man, I thought it was, I tweeted this, and I think I Snapchatted as well. I was sitting there watching this game like Kobe was about to win the championship because I was really interested to see. I was like, there's no way this dude is going to win this game. There's no way he's going to really go for 60 because it's a perfect storybook ending. And I think maybe just over time, man, I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Kobe get that win, but we didn't know he was gonna do that. Let's be honest. We thought he could have easily went out and went 5 for 30,
Right.
and put up 15 points. And the other thing I noticed that he really has over the course of the season adjusted his shot because he didn't have a lot of lift on his shot, and he kind of pushes the ball forward a little bit. And it's flat. So, he was learning on the go. And for one last game, man, he made it pay off. And I have more to say on this, but it's not about Kobe. It's about Jason Whitlock. And I'll
Lord.
say that for my parting shots. Cause I got some words for him. But I'll let FIFO get in here.
Yeah, FIFO, man, what was your take on it, man? Kobe going out, guns a-blazing, so to speak, in his final game.
Yo, it was so amazing. It was so amazing. And I'm glad that in Kobe's last year, where he had to kind of have big games or where he really wanted to have big games, he did. Boston, that rivalry and the way that Boston was welcoming and accepting of Kobe's last game. You know what I'm saying? There, he put on a show for them. In Philly, he put on a show for them, but he saved the best for last, as any true showman should. And we talking about the Hollywood Hills, aren't we? So Kobe, man, look, he almost shot 50%, man. He almost shot 50%. And I think that the overall performance was just a complete microcosm of his career. And the way he ended it after the speech, Mamba out, he was the Mamba. That was the last time he was the Mamba, and you saw it in full glory. This is the 7th time he scored 60, which is second most all time. So we're talking a very vintage, very exclusive Kobe performance. Like, if you're not gonna win the chip, I think the best way to go out would have been like Jordan in Utah. That is the most storybook ending, if that's truly where it would have ended. But Kobe's ending, it's the second best. It's the second best ending. He went out the way you remembered him throughout his career. Regardless if it was tough times, it was tough in the beginning, just like his career was, airballing in Utah in the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He found his groove, and then he won the game. He won chips. He's a champion, man. And when I was watching it, and Kobe was coming down the stretch in the fourth quarter, I'm like, man, forget going for 60. This is Kobe. He trying to win the game.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know 60 is sweet, but I knew he was trying to win the game, man. And one thing that I just look at, you know, it was so good to see his family there because I know how the young people are. I've coached. They want to talk smack. They want to downplay your act, especially your kids. They can't say nothing. It is zilch nada. You can't talk bad about daddy. Daddy was that dude, and you seen it. So I just thought it was real cool. You know, everybody that came out after, you know, it was good to see Lamar Odom in good health out there.
Yeah, man. Real good to see LO
You know
out
what I'm
there.
saying? All of the Laker greats and teammates and stuff, man. It was just real good, man. And you know, to Ken's point that, you know, more people watched this, more people were talking about Kobe. When special moments like that happen, especially now with the social media age, man, it just catches fire. You know what I'm saying? I think it's bigger than a 73-9 record. You know, Kobe's last game, like you said, man, Kobe has been a household name for 20 years, man. 20 years. People gonna watch. And I don't know if y'all saw, but Top Dog paid for 2 tickets, 40,000 front row.
Wow.
40 racks. So just
Top
think
Dog
about,
don't get free tickets?
Hey, not for Kobe's last. It was $1,000 for the nosebleeds, man.
Damn.
So, you know, like now that's crazy. That's how you know Kobe's that dude.
Hey, real quick, point of order. Cheryl has corrected me on Twitter. The Warriors won the ratings 3.6 to the Lakers 3.4, but it
It was
was
real close.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I
but that's still good. That's very good ratings for a Wednesday, for an abstract Wednesday night. Yeah,
Yep.
that's still good. I think I think it was vintage Kobe, man. It was special, but it was also bittersweet to some degree because I think, you know, as probably, I think, was I the only one that had Kobe in the top 5 this at the beginning of
No,
the
that
year?
was
Huh?
me too. Yeah, I did as well.
Okay, so me and you, we only had Kobe in our top 5, much to the delight of our boy Modest Media. Shout out to Rod, who I'm surprised Rod didn't text us during the game. But yeah, man, I think it was kind of bittersweet because you saw it coming to an end, but you saw that, you know, he still had one last hurrah. I think it would have been a little bit better if, you know, if the Lakers were better. Like, and I tweeted during the game, like, I've been watching basketball. I've been watching basketball in the NBA since 1980. That's as far back as I can remember. And it was just like, I've never seen the Lakers, like, so all of my life the Lakers have been good. They've been great. They had the Smush Parker years, you know, whatever like that, but, you know, they've been the standard, you know, one of the probably the standard for the NBA, the Lakers and the Celtics, at
Yeah.
least through my lifetime. I can't speak about what happened prior to, you know, to my watching basketball in 1980, but you know, and I think that was, you know, so to me it's unfortunate because the Lakers are so bad. Like, the team is not really worth watching. I actually sat and tried to watch some of the games this year, and they were just awful. I mean, just god awful. But, you know, it was good to see Kobe go out like that. I would have loved to have seen him see what he had left if they had made a playoff run. You know, I really expected a better season, which is why, you know, and I kind of tried to justify why I had Kobe in my top 5, because I still think he could still light it up. And, you know, truth be told, Kobe probably still can play, and maybe not to the same level that he played, you know, throughout his career. But, you know, if we want to be honest with ourselves, the Kobe that we really remember, you know, we haven't seen that Kobe in a couple of years. So, you know, it's bittersweet to see him go out like that. But I think the one good thing that we got from that was that if you had asked all of us Wednesday morning, what do you think Kobe's going to go for? We'd have probably been like, you know, he's going to put up 20 shots and get like 20 points and they're going to lose by 15 or something like that. But we would have never predicted. The only script that could have been better if Kobe hit the game-winning shot. That's the only thing that would have been better. If he had hit the game-winning shot, scoring 30 points, that would have been vintage Kobe. But, you know, salute to him, man. I don't know what's next for him. But, he gave us a lot to talk about. And like Ken said, they may not have won the ratings, but his game that night was a bigger story than because I think it was a foregone conclusion that the Warriors were going to win 73. Kobe getting 60, that wasn't a foregone conclusion.
And I don't know if people understand what 73 wins really, really means. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, if you're an outsider, you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But I think we know what Kobe's last game means, and how it relates to basketball. People, for the most part, some people may know about the 72-10 Bulls and that the Warriors are going to beat that record and who Steph Curry is. But Steph Curry, as popular as he is, he's not Kobe yet. And that record just wasn't able to kind of bring more people in to really watch that moment. And maybe a lot of people were flipping channels too. I'll be honest, I was. When Kobe missed the first 5 shots, I was like, oh, I'm not watching this. And then the Warriors went up by 20. I was like, well, I'm not watching this either. So I was kind of stuck in the middle because the Warriors were blowing out Memphis, and I think when the Lakers were losing by 9 to 10 points, I'm like, well, what am I gonna do? So and then the Utah game got exciting, and we knew what was gonna happen in the Golden State game. So what was the point of watching that? I did want to see like the ending of the game. We'll talk about it in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think people understood like that moment, man, of Kobe's last game versus 73 wins, as great of an accomplishment it is. There's something about that moment of Kobe no longer stepping on the court, I think probably pulled at people, and people wanted to talk about it. Like we talked about last time. I'm with you, Kyle. Like, the Lakers have always been good. I've been watching Kobe half my life.
Right.
So to no longer watch him pick up a basketball, that's something, man.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. Now, you mentioned, great segue, you mentioned the 73 wins. So let's start there, man. FIFA, what do you think of as far as you grew up, your kid grew up during the Jordan era. You grew up right there in Chicago. I'm pretty sure you, like me and Ken, probably didn't think anybody would ever beat this record. What does that record mean as far as the level of significance? And what do you see, Golden State doing from this point forward?
It sets the stage. When you start to beat records, you set precedents, and it sets the stage for them to be acknowledged as one of the greatest teams of all time. But obviously, you have to win. Just because you get a lot of regular season wins doesn't mean. I don't want to diminish that. Like, when people say it doesn't mean anything without a ring, it means something because ain't nobody else did it before. It definitely means something. But when you look at it, what does it mean if you didn't win it all? If you continue to beat your competitor, and once you get to the biggest stage, you cannot win, or you don't even get to the biggest stage, which is a letdown. But I think they're going to win another championship. That's me. So
same here.
I don't know who can beat them. But it just sets the stage, man. It sets the stage for them to be really considered as one of the greatest teams to ever touch a basketball court. When you win back-to-back championships, everything that comes with that. They have the back-to-back MVP. They have first-team All-NBA players. They have multiple All-Stars. They're just ringing up the accolades. They are ringing up the accolades, man. And for me, I think the people that actually witness that record by the Bulls, the type of effort that it takes, the type of mental fortitude that you have to have over that period of time to withstand people's best shots night in, night out, and to be focused and to get that accomplished without your head coach for a majority of the season is a major accomplishment, man. And I think we overlook it because we're such in a popcorn society now.
Mm-hmm.
But what they have done and what they are doing is so remarkable. We are witnessing almost like a 2.0 version of what the Bulls were able to do, because we've never seen a player like Michael Jordan before. We've never seen a player like Steph Curry before. And both of those guys had teams around them to really amplify what they do best, man. And they have a great team top to bottom, and they play both ends of the court, man. It's beautiful, and I'm glad that they were able to set that record and to shut a lot of people up because they did it a different way, which shows the progression of the NBA. It's a jump shooting team, but you have to have two of the best to ever do it to actually, to win a championship, because Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are the best shooting backcourt ever to play the game. Mark Jackson was right 3 years ago.
There you have it. What about you, Kent? The significance of 73.
I think it was that last point that FIFO made when he said that when he compared Curry and Jordan, because I haven't seen Jordan play, and I'm sure a lot of you out there have. If not, you've seen the highlights. They're totally different, but they dominate their own way, and you can't stop them. And when you look at the numbers, Curry's putting up 30. I don't know his exact numbers, but let's say 30.
Right at 30, yeah.
Yeah, 36 and 6, right? So he's contributing across the board, statistically, and I was like, when you look at that, so for me, when I look at the numbers and compare the numbers, I'm like, hey, like, dang, they right there. But having seen Jordan play and as athletic he was, is kind of where it's hard for me to make that comparison. But no, I think FIFO's right, man. Like, first of all, to win 73 and 9, it took somebody on Jordan's level to do it, somebody of that nature to get and break that record. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we've seen LeBron get to 66.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs. Here's what's crazy. The Spurs won 67 games.
Most ever.
They lost. Huh?
Most ever in franchise history.
Right.
For the Spurs.
They lost 3 to the Warriors. Say, for instance, they would have won those 3, they would have been at 70. The Warriors would have been at 70. Like, when you start to look at that, it's kind of crazy. If you really started to kind of look at how their record could have swung, and you would have had 2 teams win 70 games in one season, which was insane. But when I'm watching them play, I'm like, man, they like, these dudes really have 73 freaking wins. And I'm thinking, who in the world is going to break this record? How do you break this record? Because it took it took a couple of miracle games from the Spurs, the Warriors, to get this record. It took some mess up. Like somebody said it the other day during the Heat game. It took 2 incredible shots by Curry for the Warriors to beat the Heat. And that's no knock on the Warriors. That's what it takes to win 73 games.
Right.
And sometimes you need that. It takes Kevin Durant running into Iggy, who now when I'm watching Iggy shoot free throws, he can't make a damn free throw.
He made
2 to tie the game that night.
And that half-court 3 that Steph walked into, that he made look so effortless. Right.
So when you look back and you look at some of the improbable wins, being down by 20-plus points to L.A., it just really seemed like it was inevitable and that it was meant to be. And the only thing that's left now is the championship to put the cherry on top. Because it was something that Draymond said, and he said, I'm part of the greatest team ever. And that stood out to me. For one, how can you argue against it? Because he has 73 wins and 9 losses. So right now, the argument could be made they are the best team ever. Winning the championship basically slams the door shut on that. Now, of course, you have people that's going to argue the 60. People still to this day argue that 85 Celtics was still better than that
right.
In 72 and 10. So you're going to have those type of debates. Most of the people that of this generation, they didn't see that, so they don't care about that, and they know that 73 wins is more than what the Boston Celtics had, in that 85 year. But I think overall, man, it was a historic moment on both sides to see Kobe do what he did and to see the Warriors do what they did. And I think now, man, it's just seeing what they do from here. Hopefully Curry gets better and don't damage his ankle any more than he already has. And they go ahead and continue to try to get this chip.
Yeah, I agree. I think both of you made some great points. I don't think we can, and it's been talked about, and we talked about it on previous shows. As far as comparing the two, it's two different eras, two different things. I grew up in that era, and I was a Bulls fan. I was a big, huge Jordan fan, huge Bulls fan. I didn't become a Hawks fan until I moved here. But I will say this much. I mean, it was unlike most Bulls fans. Like I was okay with them winning it because I think the thing is, defeating that record because I think you always want to see greatness. I didn't think anybody would get that. I think like you said, Ken, you made a great point. They both won, but they won in different measures. That Bulls team they were intimidating. I mean, like half the teams that they played against, they had them beat before the opening tip. I mean, like, and FIFA will tell you, they had teams scared as hell when the game tipped off because they didn't know what to expect. You had, two of the best lockdown defenders in the game, and one guy was the best player on both ends of the floor, and that was Michael Jordan. So, but you got to tip your hat to the Warriors. You got to tip your hat to the Warriors because, in this day and time with the travel and the teams that they're playing and so many other distractions, you got to be lucky to some degree. And I don't mean that as a disrespect, but anytime you have a successful season, there's some luck involved. I mean, like I'll put it like this, even the little issue that, that Curry's having with his ankles, if that happens during the season, he sits out 2 or 3 games, that could be 2 or 3 losses. So, and it just depends on who you're playing against. And it's not something where, even a situation where Harrison Barnes, if you have an Iguodala, if you have a Randy, what's the Livingston? I forgot Livingston. What's his name?
Sean Livingston.
Sean. I don't know why I want to call him Randy. Sean Livingston. If you have those kind of players, or Barbosa coming off the bench, then you can afford to tell, Harrison Barnes, okay, hey, Harrison, you sit down for a couple of games. Let's sit you, instead of sitting you for 2 nights, we'll sit you for 2 weeks. And so, so you got to give Golden State credit for that. And you mentioned Steve Kerr. I mean, most teams can't afford to lose their head coach for, months at a time. I mean, so yeah, you tip your hat to them. Now, I will say this much. It does not mean anything if they don't finish the deal. They have to finish the deal. If they can't finish the deal, then 72 wins is nothing. 73 wins is nothing. So that's that. Joining us right now is one half of the Off the Bench crew, Philly fan, basketball purist, Chip Kelly's homeboy, our boy Q, the 6-man. Q, what up?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, man. What's going on?
What's good, man?
I see you represent with your Eagles shirt.
Oh, yeah, this is like 85% of my wardrobe. You know how that goes.
So we were just talking about, and your co-host Ryan is going to be coming on in just a few. Give us your thoughts on 73 wins, man. How significant is that?
Man, 73 wins, bro. I think it just shows that the coaching and the development that Mark Jackson did, I really want to give a lot of credit to him. Just to pass the 96 Bulls, that's something that's gonna be the best season ever. I don't think anybody's gonna top this for the next 20-some years because the synergy that all these players have, like Steph, Draymond, Clay, you see that they have synergy, and that's something that not a lot of teams have. When you know each of your teammates' mannerisms, how they play. You see the Rockets. The Rockets don't even know how to play a system within their own players. So for them to be able to put it together and to have the right coaching staff, to have all the right pieces, it's incredible, man. I'm just really proud of Steph, proud of Draymond, proud of Clay, and I just want to give credit to Mark Jackson for finding this talent, putting this talent together, and Steve Kerr bringing it all together too. So.
No doubt, no doubt, and yeah, we gotta give credit to Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson made a lot of it happen. The Warriors are one of the few teams, very few teams in the NBA are built like this because they pretty much built their team through the draft. They didn't go out and recruit players, LeBron, to come play. So when you look at the core of their team, Draymond, Curry, Klay Thompson, I think Harrison Barnes, they were all drafted by the team, so I think that makes a difference. I'm laughing at the comments in the chat. Apparently, these people have never seen Q before because they're commenting the fact that he's light skinned. I don't know if that's a diss or what. Nonetheless, man. So that's it. So we've covered the 73 wins. We've covered Kobe. Now let's get into some NBA talk. Q, you and Ryan host a podcast, Off the Bench. And you said on your podcast that the Mavericks were going to get swept. You want to clarify that, bro? Let's talk about that series. Let's talk about that series right now. Let's talk about Dallas, and Dallas got a win last night in OKC. And just give us your thoughts on that series and how do you think it's going to play out?
Man, I say a lot of things. Sometimes they don't happen. Marcus Mariota is supposed to be the QB of the Philadelphia Eagles, but we saw that happen.
Hey, man, you talking to a guy who said Roy Hibbert was the top 5 center. They ain't never let me forget that.
Yeah, some things don't pan out. The impossible happened. Raymond Felton outplayed Russell Westbrook. I don't know, man. It just things happen. KD had an off night. That's an aberration. That's never going to happen again. I think they're going to win this series in 5. There's no way. There's no way that the Mavericks push this to 6 and watch it happen. Just because
you said so, right?
Yeah.
What about you, Ken? What do you think about that series so far, and how far do you think it's going to go?
I think it might go 6. For everybody that's listening that just tuned in, make sure you check out on the channel all of Q and Ryan's breakdowns for each series. Here they're gonna give you some different insights and takes on it. But check it out. And I gotta tell you, I hit Ryan up last night, and when I was listening to it while I was doing the editing, and you started dogging the Mavericks. I said, I hate to do it to you. I said, but I had to put it up. But I'm like, man, Q is going in on the Dallas Mavericks, like just totally disrespecting them. And I'm not going to lie. I didn't think you were wrong in what you said. I just found it humorous that they actually won a damn game.
And they played well last night, man. They played really well.
Yeah, they did, man. But look, I think, man, look, I know with this, OKC better not lose this series. And I'm not confident.
Do you think that's
enough.
possible, Ken? You think it's possible they could lose the series?
Possible, yes. I do believe it's possible. This team is they're kind of funky, man. They lose games that they shouldn't lose. They don't play up to their full potential. They can't hold on to a lead for whatever reason. They take ill-advised shots down the stretch. There were moments in that game where they could have put it away, but they kept turning the ball over. Like, they were making mistakes that they shouldn't have made. It was ridiculous what they were doing on the court. Mm-hmm. And they kept force-feeding Durant.
Oh, he couldn't hit a shot.
And he couldn't hit a shot. And I was like, come on, let Westbrook do something. At least he can create. I mean, Kevin Durant can create his own shot, but the dude was just off. Waiters hit a couple of big baskets. He took Cantor out. Ironically enough, it seemed to me when he took Cantor out, the game started to change. I know Steven Adams had a couple of big offensive rebounds, but and Cantor only had 2 points, but he was assuming a lot of space, and I think he got a lot of offensive rebounds when OKC couldn't hit a shot. But if this game is tight, KD and Russell Westbrook by themselves cannot do it. And that's what have me worried. Because now you're looking at coaching. And I have been critical of Billy Donovan
Me
for a
too.
while now. And he made some mistakes in that quarter, in that game, where Rick Carlisle out-coached him. So what happens if you're in that situation again? How are you going to out-coach an NBA? Like, you can win based off the talent you have and the lack of talent and the injured players that Dallas have. But what happens when the game is close and it's beyond the talent? And sometimes it comes down to coaching. What happens then? We've seen throughout this NBA season where OKC has just, for whatever reason, struggled. They remind me so much of Cleveland. It's beyond me because they have the skill set, the talent, some of the pieces, but they just never put it together, and it's just weird. So if this game ends up, if Dallas takes a lead, Dallas may win this series. If Dallas go up 2-1, it might be over. It might be over. It might be over. And Billy Donovan, they're gonna run him out of no. Kevin Durant's gonna leave.
Yeah, you got something there. Hey, FIFO, my question to you. I know you watched the game last night. We know Durant shot 7 for 33, which is an anomaly. He'll probably never have a game like that. What I'm seeing, and Ken and I have been you've kind of taken up for Billy Donovan at times. Ken and I have been very critical of him. Why do you think, from a basketball perspective, I'm not Golden State, Oklahoma City struggles sometimes coming down the stretch?
Coming down the stretch, it's all about poise. It's all about trust. It's all about knowing what you have to do to execute what you have to do. And for them, that's why I said I think OKC can be great, but it all hinges on Russell Westbrook's poise. And last night, what you saw was Russell deferring. So Russell, to me, is the key, regardless of what KD does, whether he goes 7 for 33, like you said, Kyle, that's not going to happen again.
Right.
But what is the balance of Russell Westbrook, right? Like, when he shoots too much, people get on him. I've been a defender of Russell. I say let the man do what he do. But it comes down to poise. And I think that if Russell was a little bit more aggressive to offset the bad shooting night that KD was experiencing, because he could not buy a bucket. That three he made was so big down the stretch.
Yeah,
everybody was surprised he made that. But
hey, I think he was surprised he made it.
He was surprised he made it. But Russell, he has to know when to be aggressive, and that's part of the poise. Poise does not mean no turnovers, always being calm and collected. No, it also means being aggressive when you know your team needs it and how your team needs that. And to me, man, Billy Donovan, you could kind of blame him, but it is what it is, man. It's a first-year coach. To me, unless you've had some type of NBA pedigree, it's too high of an expectation that you can place on Billy Donovan to win a championship. To me, now can he get far? And I don't think he's going to be run out of town. I think he is the backup plan if KD leaves. But
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
he's the backup plan if KD leaves. But what I saw outside of Russell is, from Billy Donovan's standpoint, from a coaching perspective, is what Ken said was partly right. You're force feeding KD, and he told him keep shooting. And if I'm coach, I'm telling KD, hey, bro, I don't care if you're 0 for 22. We need you to shoot. That's your job. That's what we pay you millions to do. You got to shoot, but you have to get them in easier buckets. A lot of the shots were either isolations, catch and shoots, which are good baskets, but how about getting them in motion to the rim? That's what making him the screener, getting him diving, getting him as a playmaker. That's what I need to see when he's struggling. I need to hear Billy Donovan saying, yo, I need you to affect the game in other ways. And you didn't see that. It was kind of like Steph in that first game in San Antonio where I said, where was this in-between game? It was all killer dagger shots. Can't have that. Even though KD did try to mix it up, but he was having a bad game. You got to get him easy layups, buckets, free throws. You got to get that, and he didn't get that. He didn't get that, and I think that's what Billy Donovan needs to figure out.
And I wonder what would have happened if Russell would have taken that shot, because he had 3 Dallas defenders converging on him, and Kevin Durant was on the other side. So, say for instance, he missed that shot. That might be an easy putback for KD.
Right.
You know, he would have forced it, but KD missed the layup, dog.
Well, he also got fouled too, Ken. They fouled him.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter though. He missed the layup, like right there.
Wait, hold on.
It's the square. Put it on the square.
Okay. There were about 2 or 3 plays that the refs missed.
I agree.
KD came, bro. He got mugged, dog. Like, yo, Billy. To me, in that instance, and I know how Stan Van Gundy said, you know, we can't have a tech, and I partly agree with Reggie Jackson on it. As a coach, yo, I'm taking a tech for the. Yo, you cannot allow KD cannot get mugged like that.
Right.
That's Kevin Durant. Bro, I might get ejected. And can't see me on the sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Don't get me heated. Don't get me heated. You got, man, that is Kevin Durant.
Hey, now in another series that's actually tied 1-1, we got the Raptors and the Pacers. The Pacers jumped out and punched the Raptors right in the mouth. As your boy Aubrey Graham was sitting courtside, as he always does, like a little mascot. But that's another story for another day. So this series tied 1-1, headed back to Indiana, man. Q, what's your thoughts on Indiana being up 1-1?
Shout out to the guy who always comments on the videos that we do, because he says I don't watch the Raptors games ever. It's hilarious.
I don't.
I do. At least you admit it, but I do from time to time. And from what I notice, when Paul George is in that groove and Miles Turner is aggressive on the glass, then that's when they win. When they have a strong presence inside and Paul George is doing what he's doing, and Monte has the ball in his hands most of the time, those are the 3 components that lead to a Pacers win. When the Raptors lose, Jonas game, the Raptors backcourt fails, just like they've done the last 2 years, and that always leads to a loss. From what I've seen of the second game, Jonas Valanciunas had a big game, and Kyle Lowry had a much better game than the first game, and they had contributions from Terrence Ross, people like Corey Joseph, and so on and so on. So Dwayne Casey, I gotta give all credit in the world. He came back with really good adjustments, and the Pacers, the ball was sticking too much. PG couldn't get into a groove as much as he needed to. Miles Turner didn't have a good game, and it's just ugly offense, man. The defense on the Pacers was very, very sloppy. Gave up way too many easy dunks. Did not get their hands up on the easy threes. Did not close out. It was just a bad game overall. And Dwayne Casey made sure that they did not go down 2-0, because if so, that was going to be a sweep probably.
Right. So how do you see this one playing out?
I'm going Indiana in 7.
Okay, Indiana.
I think Paul George is going to turn up. Something like that.
Oh yeah, Paul George has been balling. What about you, FIFO, man? Your thoughts on Raptors versus Pacers? That's the 2-7 matchup in the Eastern Conference.
Bro, they're gonna have to break Toronto up, man. Look, you heard it here first. DeMar going to
you calling it already?
Yo, DeMar going to LA. They losing, man. Because look, I don't understand. Because the mental makeup of Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan are tough, gritty, aggressive guys. And that should lend itself well to playoff basketball. And these guys, they just don't show up. And I don't understand how they can have such a great season, and then as soon as the playoffs start, they're 0-3 together in game ones. Wow. And do you know that 72% or 75% of teams that win game 1 typically win the series? So you mean to tell me the first 3 series since you guys been together, since you guys been making the playoffs, You guys have lost game 1, so the odds are against you. Like when I watch it, it baffles me because these guys are all stars. These guys are aggressive basketball players that get to the rack, create contact, and that should lend us. And I just don't get it. I don't get it. I am calling the Pacers because the way Paul George is balling is kind of like the beginning of the season. We kind of fell off the radar of Paul George. He kind of came back down to earth because the rest of that squad is not ready yet to play at his level of play. Monte is a good veteran, but he's way on the decline. He's nowhere near what he used to be. But Paul George is balling at that same level that we saw him play against Miami.
Exactly.
His coming out party.
Exactly.
And when he's that guy, only LeBron, KD, and Kawhi can guard him. So when he's playing at that level, man, and as determined as I know he can be and he has shown to play, I'm not betting against the Pacers. They're still a gritty team, just a different version. They still got Frank Vogel, man. And I do not believe in DeMar and Kyle Lowry together. There is something wrong. And honestly, I think that if DeMar Carroll was more healthy and ready, more playoff ready than what he is right now, because he sat out pretty much the whole second half. I think this is like his second game back or something like that. But I think maybe he could have been the glue to make it work, make it stick. But man, they look bad together in the playoffs.
Yeah, man.
They just do. So I'm picking Paul George, man. I can't bet against the Raptors.
So you got him in 7?
I got them in 6.
Oh,
Yo, FIFO.
Okay.
What up?
Yo, FIFO, do you think that the Raptors don't have enough finesse players? Like, I think that's the problem when I look at them.
I don't know. I don't know. If it's because I feel like you can put a lot of the same type of guys together as long as they kind of complement each other. And I think that they do have complementary pieces because Patterson, he's a stretch 4. He could bang down low. He's a tough guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not necessarily a weak link on defense. He can hold his own. JV, Jonas Valanciunas. You know what I'm saying? I think that he is somewhat their finesse. I think he reminds me a lot of Vucevic down in Orlando. I don't know. Maybe they need more shooting. Maybe they need more spacing. I don't get it because at the end of the day, they have 2 bona fide all-stars that get buckets.
Right.
And
whenever they want
to get buckets. And that shouldn't happen. It's like mentally, like they get tight. That should not happen. I'm not buying stock in them guys, man. Blow it up.
I think they need to have more consistency from their bench pieces. Like Terrence Ross, he's way too inconsistent for me, man. He'll have those games where he'll, get like maybe 4 threes and, a couple dunks and he'll energize the team. Then he'll have those games where he'll get just straight duds, man. And they need to have more consistency from their bench pieces. They got to have more consistency from their support and role players because they can't put the entire thing on that backcourt. They have to have more of a presence inside. And as it's been brought to my attention, JV's been having a better season than I thought. It's just that his minutes are down, so the numbers aren't as good. But he's been doing great. So shout out to that guy who gave me that information. But Terrence Ross has to step it up. I think Corey Joseph has to have a bigger role. And Lowry got to be more aggressive. It's just simple as that. Lowry got to call for the ball more because he's dropped weight. He's gotten a little faster, and he just has to go to the cup a little more, man. Got to go to the cup a little more. Draw those fouls and get the team going.
Ken, what about you, man? What do you think of this series so far?
I haven't watched a lot of Raptors this year, and after watching the first 2 games in the series, now I know why. I remember when Ryan hit me up on Twitter, and he was looking at Toronto at the Raptors as a threat, in the East, and I was kind of chuckled. I was like, nobody's scared of Toronto, man. And I think that's the problem that they're facing. You look at their history; they haven't made it out of the first round. They were swept last year. FIFO is ones and play well in the playoffs. And I don't know why. I don't know what that is. And in all honesty, it would be sad if they don't make it out this year again. But no one respects the I think the Pacers don't respect the Toronto Raptors. Paul George don't respect the Toronto Raptors. And that's why he's coming for their head. And when you got somebody that's on his level, that at his peak, when he was at his peak before his injury, when we were talking about him up there with KD and LeBron, when you got a guy like that who can just take over a game, you're in trouble because who's going to stop him? And when you got a guy like Miles Turner who can do a lot, like he can protect the rim, he can rebound, he has a nice little jumper himself. What are you going to do against that? Amani is the grit guy, rebounder, block shots, Imini, I think I said his name wrong, incorrectly. And I think that's it, man. Like Toronto has to earn my respect, and I'm just sitting here talking on the hangout. But what I mean by that, for the last 4 years, they haven't done anything with what they've done in the regular season, and now they have to deal with Paul George, and Paul George is going to be a problem. And there was a stretch in that game in the fourth quarter where he didn't even touch the ball for a while, and he was very demonstrative about it. And he demanded to get the ball, and they finally got him the ball, but by then the game was over. If that game would have been close or closer and in range for him to win that game, I think they would have won that game yesterday because Toronto jumped out to a big lead, and then it wilted. And then it was right within, it was there for the taking. But Toronto has to prove, they have to prove it to the league, and they have to prove it to themselves that they are legit. And until that happens, we're looking at them to make another early exit. And I'm totally with FIFO. I think it's time to break up the team. DeRozan's going to leave. He's not going to stay. I don't care what he says. He's not going to stay. So then now you have to replace him. You got Lowry, so now you got to find a way to replace him. But everybody else around and on that team,
the pieces,
they're just the pieces. They're not good enough. There isn't anyone left to carry that torch if DeRozan or when DeRozan leaves, and I think that's going to send Toronto back. So I don't know, man. I'm with the group, man. I got the Pacers winning this, dog.
You know what, man? I got Toronto winning, but much like I had Toronto winning in 7. But after seeing Game 1, man, I'm thinking I might need to change because it was bad. And I was like, and you know what's weird, man? And I think I tweeted or texted you, like it just looked like I was looking at the same Toronto Raptors team that I watch every year. Like they look like the same team from last year. Now they got to go to Indiana and try to get one. So we'll see what happens. Another series we're going to talk about. We got 2 more series we got 3 more series to hit real quick. Let's go to South Beach, the number 3 Miami Heat versus the number 6 Charlotte Hornets. People, how do you see this one playing out, man? Who do you think is going to pull this one away?
Hey, first, Ken, send D-Wade a text about that new Gatorade commercial, dog. Like, it's really dope. I really like it.
I like that too.
Iceman.
I like that one. Tell
him if you said it was dope.
And for those of you listening, Ken and D-Wade are best friends. So,
hey, he's on Snapchat too, man. The Snapchats are kind of cool too.
So probably after the season's over, Ken is going to do an exclusive interview. We're not invited. Ken will be at D-Wade's house and with Gabby and the little dogs and stuff. So, but go ahead, FIFA. I'm sorry.
But yeah, man. Who they playing again?
Charlotte.
Charlotte need his ass whooping, man.
Another one, FIFA? Huh? They got whooped last year.
Who?
The Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what, man? They not ready yet. Like Kemba, I think took a real big step this year. I think him and Jeremy Lin play well together, but they're still not ready. And because they need the Frank the Tank They need some of those other young pieces to take this ass whooping for them to get better. They're still in that phase, man, and they've been so far behind that they still need to take ass whoopings now to get better. You know what I'm saying? That's just where they are. It's unfortunate, but Miami is intriguing, man, because they can play small and they can play big. And when you can do that and you have a proven champ in D Wade, and he didn't even play that much, and you have a young guy in a Justice Winslow that knows how to play the right way, and he playoff, nothing's gonna phase him. You know you can trust him and play him out there. I think Miami's scary, and I think Miami is the team that can challenge Cleveland. I think that's the squad. I think that's the squad that's gonna pose some fear in LeBron's heart. And you know what? You don't heard it here first. I hope they beat Cleveland if they play. I really do. I really do, because I don't want to see. And I know I'm digressing, but I don't want to see LeBron go to another finals and lose, because I don't think he's going to win. But Miami is my dark horse team, man. I like how they're constructed. Joe Johnson's shooting over 50% right now. So you go to Miami, then all of a sudden you just shoot over 50%. Miami's the new Phoenix of a couple of years ago. You just find a fountain of youth. I like Miami, man. Dragic is balling. He's looking like the Phoenix Dragic. So I think they're going to make short work, man. I think it's probably going to be 5 games in that series.
Okay. What about you, Q? Your thoughts on Heat versus Hornets? Q. Whoa, Q.
Might be stuck.
That's that dorm room internet for you.
All right, well, we're trying to get it. Joining us now is the other half of Off the Bench, our boy Ryan. Ryan, what's going on, man?
What's up, Kyle? What's up, guys?
Chilling, man. Sound clear.
Yeah, man. Fixed the mic up, but after adjusting a little bit.
Yeah, what do you have on that series, the Heat and the Hornets?
First things first, I want to say it's ironic that I come on and Q's internet dies. The timing. I said this in the podcast. I don't fully believe in Charlotte. Hate hard, people. I really don't. I need the stats that they need to do is defensive rebounding and turnovers to have a shot. Because the Heat, as you guys know, that they don't match up well like with the Celtics with their perimeter defense. So if Charlotte can do better than that, then Whiteside doesn't become as big of a factor. And like Q said, the only person who can beat Whiteside is Whiteside, and if he's not getting fed, then he's going to do other stupid things. So I still have Heat, but I think they could make it interesting in 6, maybe 7 if they really, Steve Clifford wakes them up.
Okay. Ken, what about you, man? We know that you have all biases aside, Ken. How do you see this one playing out, man?
I really like this Heat team. I don't think what happened was a fluke. I don't think this may go 5. This team down the stretch with the addition of Josh Richardson and Joe Johnson, and that bench that they have, they kind of remind me of an East Coast Warriors because they're so balanced. They don't have that one dominant guy like Curry. They don't have that, but everybody kind of chips in and they feed the hot hand and they kind of play off each other. But that may be stretching a little bit, but the way that their balanced scoring was on fire. At any given moment, it could be Joe Johnson. We know he has playoff pedigree. Josh Richardson hit a hot spot. Can you go inside on him? With Whiteside in there, he's just lurking around the rim. I think the Hornets don't have a chance in the series against them. Miami Heat are playing right now. And when you look at this, man, I think it's perfect for Dwayne Wade because he doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting. Think about it for a second. Joe Johnson, Dang, Dragic is just being a point guard. Like, he doesn't have to do all the heavy lifting like he used to do in the past. He just really plays off everybody else, and he comes to the rescue when he has to come to the rescue. But if you look at the beginning of the year of the season for them, you know, it was a lot of Dwayne Wade. He had to actually take over and win some games for him. Down the stretch, it's really been about the team, and they played well as a team. This team, and I'm with FIFO, I would love to see them go to the finals. I don't want to see LeBron in the finals lose the finals again. I'd rather see Miami go. I mean, of course, I'd rather see Miami go anyway.
Right.
But
because you'll go.
Yeah, and I think they have a better shot of beating the Warriors than Cleveland does right now, based on what I've seen.
Whoa. Time out.
That's not a hot take. 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 No, he's right on this one.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I'm serious, Kyle. When am I ever not serious, Kyle?
Can I jump in on this?
Go ahead.
I jump in? This is not a hot take, and okay.
I'm gonna put this on Ken's mouth. You see this?
Okay.
Elmer's glue.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
That's crafty. What Q and I talked about not too long ago, maybe 2 episodes ago, was that Miami needed 2 really clutch shots from Steph Curry because that game was back and forth close, and because of Miami's defense was locking up the Warriors that night. So they're I want to say that like the second team besides the Celtics that play the Warriors so close enough in their series matchups. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think they play them closer than most other teams when they lose by a double digit. I think they're closer than the other teams are. But their defense will keep them in it. But the big thing that I want to jump on Ken is that Miami's not a 3-point shooting team. They like the mid-range game and driving to the basket. The threes only came late because of Joe Johnson and Richardson getting hot. So it's really got to be their defense that's going to help them win that. But yes, they have a better shot than Cleveland in beating the Warriors.
Yeah, y'all tripping. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see. We got, and a game is currently going on as we're recording. The Memphis Grizzlies and the San Antonio Spurs. We can keep it short. We can keep it short and simple. How many games, FIFO? How many games will the Grizzlies win? Or do you think they'll win any games?
They gonna get swept.
Okay. Q, what do you think?
Man, I've been wrong before, so I'm gonna say 5.
Okay. So you think Memphis will get one? And Ryan, you said they're gonna get swept?
Unless Dave Yeager pulls a Rick Carlisle Warlock performance with his defense and Vince Carter has an out-of-body experience back to the NBA dunk contest, nah. Kawhi Leonard says no.
What about you, Ken?
Spurs will win this one in 3.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be the one that you watch. This will be the series that you watch. You know, just pretty much as background noise. You know, you just.
You don't.
Yeah,
no, you don't. You don't watch this one.
Yeah, I mean, basketball fans will watch. I mean, like I'll watch it, but it's not going to be competitive. In the last series that we haven't talked about, the Hawks versus the Celtics. Hawks are up 2-0 after a horrific performance this evening. I think the Celtics scored a record low 7 points in a quarter. I think if you put me, Ken, FIFO, Q is 6'7", Ryan, B, I think all of us could get 7 points in a quarter. In an NBA quarter, I'm pretty sure we could get 7 points. Since you are a guest on this show, Ryan, and you happen to have on a shirt that says NBA champions, Celtics, which I don't know where you got that from because they hadn't been champions in years.
17 times, baby.
Oh man, those don't even count. You weren't born yet.
Say it to Larry Bird.
How do you think this series is gonna play out?
It was ugly. I'm gonna be straight. If we were recording a podcast right now, Q, I'd have
We
to close
heard.
the door shut.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be frank. Okay, this team is still unpredictable. Believe that they got 48 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I don't blame you one bit if you say, 4 or 5. I'm not gonna go against you because by what you saw, it would make sense to say that. But from everything I've watched this season, I can't count them out because they do some things that are just ridiculously impossible. So I don't literally until the last buzzer's off and it's 4-0 or whenever Atlanta wins 4, I can't count them out. Game 3, this was brutal. Like it was painful to watch the offense. Like Jay Crowder hasn't been the same since his high ankle sprain. He hasn't.
Yeah, the Celtics are banged up. In fairness to them, they're banged up.
His jumper has lost him because of that ankle sprain. It's so infuriating. Isaiah Thomas, I think his wrist is killing him. Marcus Smart has a bruised knuckle, but his offense is still raw, like Q said. It's just everything's all completely messed up. Like it's just the whole and Kelly Olynyk being out, our best 3-point shooter, who's a big man that makes mismatches, is just ever since DeAndre Jordan subluxed his shoulder, just messed him up.
So all biases aside, who do you have winning this one?
Hey, I'll say Hawks. Hawks got it, but like I said, I'm not gonna count the Celtics out till it's they got 4 wins. So.
Okay. And I misspoke a little earlier. I mentioned that this was the last series. We got 2 other series: Cavs, Pistons, and Clippers. And who the Clippers playing? I just had it written down here. Blazers. Yeah. So we'll jump to those 2. We'll jump to those 2 in a second. FIFO. In the chat room, they said that you were asleep. Now you're not asleep. I'm not. Somebody said you hit the sticky on 420. Who do you think wins this series, man? Our hometown Hawks or the Celtics?
Kyle, why do you make me do this to you, man?
Hey, man. Go ahead and do it, man. Because we already know what you think.
What do I think, Kyle? Tell me what you think.
You always say never trust teams from Georgia.
Damn right. Man, the whole damn state, you can't trust them.
College, pro, don't trust them.
It don't matter. But look, I think that the Hawks are a better team because they have more experience from the coaching staff all the way down to the majority of the players that are on the rosters. There's just something about Boston I really like.
Okay.
I really, really like. They have a never say die type of attitude. And,
he gets it.
Huh?
FIFO got it.
And I think that I'm gonna pick Boston in 7 just because I'm anti-Georgia. That's the only reason why I'm picking them. I'm so anti-Georgia when it comes to sports. So it won't surprise me if the Hawks win it, but I definitely think it's going to be a 7-game series, man. Because it's a good matchup. But like Ryan said, man, without Olynyk, that makes it a lot tougher for Boston to score. Because you can see if Isaiah does not go off, It is tough for them to win. But they will always be in games because they're gritty. And also Avery Bradley's a big, big loss for them. Because he's come so far from improving his jump shot that he's definitely a reliable three-point shooter. He's going to play great defense, team defense individually. So they have 2 big pieces that I think that they definitely need for me to feel extremely confident in them beating the Hawks in 7 games. But the rest of those guys, man, I won't count them out. And since I'm so anti-Georgia, I'm going Boston in 7.
You know what? If you had picked the Hawks, then I'd feel bad, and I knew for a fact we'd lose. But since you didn't pick us, I like our chances. Q,
hey,
what you got?
The Bieber curse is alive.
I know, right? Q, what you got in this series, man?
I got the Hawks in 6.
Okay.
Man, I just think that Boston's a good team, but they don't have any transcendent talent, or they don't have a lot of shooters, and they don't
A
have a
go-to
team
scorer.
right now at the full squad. And they're not full squad right now, and they don't have a transcendent talent. So I think that equals an L in 6 games. I think that they have a mismatch inside. The Hawks have a mismatch inside and at the 15-footer at the elbows with Horford. Can't nobody step out and guard him for real. I just think Korver, I think it's just too much for him, man. I like the Celtics. I like their defense, but Jay Crowder has not been the same since he sustained that injury. Avery's gone. Olynyk is banged up, and IT has to have people knocking down shots for him to get his. Because when people respect the 3-point shot, that's when he can take advantage inside or do his little mid-range game. And he can't do that because no one's hitting shots right now. Brad Stevens, as great a coach he is, man, he can't do it all by himself. You know what I'm saying? And as great as IT is, he can't do it all by himself. And this is what highlights in the playoffs that there are 2 things that will always get you by, and that is superstars and that's coaching. The Celtics have one of those things. They just need to have the other piece, and they can go far next year, which is why this offseason will be huge for them. But I have the Hawks in 6. I think it's going to be relatively close in those next few games, but Atlanta in 6.
Ken, what about you?
After watching the first 2 games, you know, I don't even know how the Hawks made the playoffs. I'll be honest.
Because you gotta have teams. You gotta put teams in there.
They look so bad in stretches. It's really, really rough to watch. And if Boston could have hit any shots tonight, they would have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were cold in game 1, came back and he saved the Hawks, but they could have won that game. You know, things just haven't went right for the Celtics in the first 2 games. And it was something that Ryan said that stood out to me. It is something that, to me, has kind of epitomized the season for the Celtics. They've done things that they shouldn't have done all year long. And you look at it like, how did they win that game? The game against the Celtics, the game against the Heat. I mean, not the Celtics, the Cavs. They had an improbable win in that one. The game was down 26, and they came back and won the game against Miami. Miami just went absolutely cold, and they couldn't buy a shot. You know, things at times have to go right and have gone right for the Celtics. The problem can't rely on that in the playoffs, and Bradley is going to make it tough. The experience of the Hawks, having been here before, being a number 1 seed last year, I think will help them win, you know, this series. But it's really hard to tell because this team is a different team when they're in the Garden. You know, and they could easily come back tied 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's a war of attrition between 2 teams. Who's going to win? You know, from there. And the Celtics have proven in game 1 that they can win. I was honestly surprised that the Hawks took 3 out of 4 from the Celtics this year. But nevertheless, they have. And I'm not one to put a lot of stock in the regular season. But you know, when I looked it up just to see how they played, you know, this year, I saw that they won 3 out of 4. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I still think because of the injury to Bradley, the Celtics will probably go ahead and win. I mean, the Hawks will win this in 6, and I think that's what I got. I think that injury to Bradley probably hurt them a lot if they could.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I think the only thing I have to add is that, you know, I think Hawks will win in 6. I think Bradley's injury was major, and I think it's that along with just, you know, their inexperience is not going to help them. But I will give I tip my hat to anybody that watched that game. That game tonight was awful. I mean, like, I'm one of the few Hawks fans around here, and like that game was it was hard. And the only thing I kept saying was like to myself was like, I'm a fan, so that's the only reason why I was watching. So if you weren't a fan, and you actually watch that game, you really don't have a life because that game was awful. But
Yeah, right.
it is what it is, man. I mean, but the Hawks, Ken, to be honest, they frustrate the hell out of me because they'll have nights like tonight where they can't do anything right, and then they'll have other nights where they punch teams like Cleveland in the mouth. So, you just like as a fan, I know after the first 4 or 5 minutes what kind of night it's gonna be, and I've learned not to get too too high or too low because it just depends on the night. Let's move over to the other series. What'd you say?
Up you go. Horford and Millsap are huge matchup problems, and those offensive prowess is such a key factor for the Hawks, and they lock down the paint so much. And two, oh my God, I just had it and I lost it.
I know way more about the Celtics than I should because of Ryan.
Right. It's all good. Cavs and Pistons. Pistons came out pretty, and our boy B was right there with us, man. He and Ralph went to go check out the game Sunday. So I know B I didn't get a chance to make it out there, but I know B was amped up, especially the way that the Pistons played, man. How do you see this one shaping out, FIFO?
Man, another team that needs a good ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? To be better in the future. And you can see it. You can see the grit, the determination. You can see that Stanley Johnson is only 19, but the man is 6'8", 240, and he was trying to physically lock up LeBron. He's a teenager, man. So imagine what he's going to do 2 years from now. So what I see, Caldwell Pope is stepping up. Obviously, I was waiting for them to actually start breaking down, and it just happened toward the end of the game.
Right.
Because that game felt like a Detroit game the whole way. The whole way. They controlled the complete momentum of that whole game, and then toward the end, you saw the youth and inexperience. But what I saw was growth and progression, and I'm excited to see what Detroit is going to continue to evolve into, because you see it. And Stan Van Gundy's done a marvelous job of getting pieces that make sense, that play together, they complement each other, and you see they're going to be a problem. But watching that game shows me my level of frustration that I have with Cleveland. And it's not necessarily the players. I'm not going to blame the coaching staff. I don't know who to blame. Because when you watch them, the Big Three had a great game. Great game. But what's their identity? They damn near lost that game. If Detroit had 2 or 3 more veterans that can actually play and contribute at a high level, they would have lost that game. And they might lose this series. But when you have 3 guys that play at that level and you still almost lost, that's a problem, and that's alarming when you cannot control that game. Kyrie was the guy, because K-Love, he had a good game, and he made a couple big buckets down the stretch, but throughout the game, it was Kyrie staving off a Detroit just damn near blowout. Every time Detroit made a run, here goes Kyrie, make 2-3 moves, boom, boom, big shot here, there. But at the end of the day, how is Cleveland going to win? Because if you're telling me it's just going to be the Big Three having big games and Detroit can damn near win the game, you're not going to win a championship like that. You're not going to win no championship like that. And until they – and it's to me it's too late. But they need to figure out, what are we going to do when our backs are against the wall to say this is what we do to win games? What is it? Is it being individually great? That's not going to win no championship. Right. Because they don't have an offensive system to rely upon, and they are not a defensive team. They're not a rebounding team. They're not a turnover creating team. What kind of team are they? They are a talented team, and unless the Big Three play well, they're not going to win. And to me, that's not enough. Not seeing what's coming out that West. So this series, if you just watch basketball just to watch it for entertainment, fine. What I'm saying is not for you. This is for the diehard guys that get league pass, that get down to analytics, that watch games down to the bare bones, man. they are in trouble if they make it out this East. They are in serious. And you know what? Look, I'm telling you now, if they make it out, they're going to lose. And I hope they don't get swept, but yo, they might get swept.
And if you think they get swept in the finals? You think they get swept in the finals?
Yo, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Kyrie, look, I'm gonna give you a quick breakdown. It was I want to say it was the last game of the season. I forgot who they were playing, but it was against Atlanta. And I don't know if that was the last game of the season, but it was against Atlanta.
That was the last game.
Okay, I was watching I was watching the game with my boy, and I pointed out as a point guard, right? There's two sides of the ball in basketball. This is not football. You got to play both sides of the ball. In pick and roll defense, you have to be as decisive as pick and roll offense. What am I going to do? What is the game plan? What is the scouting report on this player? Am I supposed to go underneath? Then you commit to underneath. Are you supposed to go over top? But as soon as a point guard, you you take a step up when you're supposed to try to go over the top, and then you want to go. When you do that, when you're indecisive, you create easy opportunities for the other player, for the other team. And Kyrie does that too much. And I don't know if it's just Kyrie, if it's Ty, or a combination of both. But that you're not going to win a championship when your point guard cannot make crisp decisions as a defender as to what the game plan is supposed to be. Because in this NBA, if you cannot play pick and roll basketball defensively and you cannot guard the point guard position, you are in serious trouble. Because guess what? Who's the MVP of this league? And who do you think is going to be in the finals? And if you cannot guard that, because Steph made Kyrie look dumb as hell when they played in Cleveland with the backdoor cuts and all of this and all of that, what do you think is going to happen? It's only going to get worse because, again, what is Cleveland's identity? Now, if they were a defensive team and they could play great team defense and they could lock up in spurts, they can't do that. They can't do. I feel bad for Cleveland. Miami and D Wade will be doing Cleveland and LeBron a favor by not out in the Eastern Conference, yo. They are doing that team a favor. I am telling you.
Preach.
Yeah.
FIFA, you just brought to church.
Yo,
can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I gotta agree with everything people just said. This is what I've been saying about Cleveland all year. When I watch Kyrie, he reminds me of Iverson, but he reminds me of the worst of Iverson. But it wasn't Iverson's fault. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, though, Kyrie, he has no excuse. You know, when Iverson was on the Sixers, when we went to the finals in 2001, he had nobody to really pass to. So he held the ball about, I think it was like 73% of the time. So a lot of the time he would have some turnovers, he would make some dumb mistakes. He would, break a couple shots, a lot of shots actually, and he would hold the ball and kill the flow of the offense. But there was no one to pass to. When you look at Kyrie Irving, he does that, but he has people like LeBron James. He has people like LeBron. He has people like LeBron, Kevin Love. He has Manziel, Tristan Thompson. He has good solid role players like Iman Shumpert on defense, J.R. Smith. We all know who they have. So Kyrie, he holds the ball a lot, and the ball sticks so much that a lot of Cleveland fans will even say that Kyrie holds the ball way too much. It kills the flow of the offense, and then he jacks up a hero shot at the end of the clock. It's kind of like what the Thunder do the last 30 seconds of a game. Russell will just dribble the ball and see if KD wants it, if you want it. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why I don't think Cleveland has it is because in this series against Detroit, if I'm banking on Kevin Love having those type of games every game, I can't do it. I have in my upset pick, I picked Detroit just as a show.
Come on, Q.
It is what it is, right? But I picked Detroit. But let me tell you the reason why that even if they don't, beat Cleveland, this is why they're in trouble with Miami. Andre Drummond poses a huge threat to someone like Tristan Thompson. And what is Andre Drummond known for? He's known for rebounding, and he's not known for his defense. What is Hassan Whiteside known for? He's known for his defense and his rebounding. So if you look at what Miami has on the inside with Whiteside, it's a problem. They have no answer for that. And you saw that Andre Drummond was getting loose and he missed a couple easy shots. So Reggie Jackson, to me, he beat that team at the end of the game. You know, I think he had a technical. There was a couple bad shots. And to give Tyronn Lue complete credit, Ryan told me about this. If you watch the last 4 minutes of the game, Tyronn Lue took a timeout, and there were I think Detroit was up 7 or 6, and they reeled off 8 straight points, and Detroit. And that goes to show that they have inexperience in the playoffs, but they were still fighting back. They still got some easy shots. They still got some layups. But Reggie, in the end, ultimately did them in. Again, and if I have to bank on what's not going to happen again, I'm going to bet on Reggie Jackson not getting technicals at the end of the game more than I'm going to bank on Kevin Love getting, 28 and 13. That's not going to happen. I think that either way, Cleveland is doomed somewhere along the line. Either Andre Drummond's going to start getting off, or they're going to have to meet up with someone like Hassan Whiteside, and then those demons are going to get exercised. They don't have the continuity and at their point guard spot to do what they need to do to beat people like the Spurs, the Heat, or the Warriors.
Hey, you know what, Q? Let me jump back in real quick. A couple points. It's not offensively that Cleveland is kind of behind. Where it is defensively at the point guard position. You know what I'm saying? But with Kyrie, he does hold the ball a lot, but that's his game. That's his game. What up, Ryan?
That's the point I wanted to say. That's why I said some podcasts ago. He plays like a 2 guard. He's an and 1 superstar.
He is. And the thing is that you have to figure out what type of system to run so that him and LeBron could play cohesively. When you watch Cleveland play, they are primarily pick and roll offensive team. The main difference that Ty Lue has done is that he wants to get up and down a little bit more, and he gives Kevin Love the ball in high post and low post scenarios a lot more. And he also puts K-Love and LeBron and Kyrie more so in pick and roll situations all together in different combinations. He does that a little bit more. But I think that Ty Lue needs to look at what Spoelstra did in Miami. And the way you take advantage of Kyrie Irving's skill set, which is one-on-one ball handling, break you down offense, step back, get to the hole, finish around bigger guys. And that type of guy is a smaller version to me of D Wade. And you need to get Kyrie and LeBron playing downhill. What they have them doing is trying to either play hero ball or play pick and roll basketball the majority of the time in half court offense. And when you watch Miami play at their height, when Spoelstra finally figured it out, you had LeBron and D Wade attacking from the wings. It was rarely from straight up top. It was from the wings, and then they rotated the ball to the corners. That's how they got their offense generated. They have to do something more similar to that.
Are you saying they should play like how Toronto runs their offense?
Kind of, sorta. Yes, because Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan play downhill, attacking the basket. Yes, a little bit more like Toronto. You have to attack from the wings when you have two guys that are ball dominant that can get to the rack at will. You just have to.
Don't you all think that this is like a coaching thing? You know, I think this is the other thing. But think about this. Who is Kyrie Irving's coach? Who is Kyrie Irving's coach has been his entire career?
Who has LeBron's coaches been his entire career? I can make the same argument.
David Bryant
is much better talent than Kyrie Irving. He's the top 3 talent in any generation. Probably.
Doesn't matter. Coaching makes all the difference. Ask Michael and Kobe. Ask those two guys.
I'm
Doesn't
saying
that make his point?
you got Byron Scott. You have Mike Brown, and you have Tyronn Lue. You have a terrible string of coaches. I can't expect only so much from you, like as a point guard, when they basically just told you, "Yo, play your game, Kyrie." No one's put him within the parameters for his gifts to excel. They kind of just thrown him out there every time he's been with these coaches, and they just said, "Yo, Kyrie, be yourself." But they don't know how to say. They don't know how to say, "Kyrie, be yourself," but within the guidelines of this system or with these players. They just say, "Yo, do what you do," and that's not what's going to win championships. You have to know how to be yourself, like LeBron and D Wade did, but within the parameters of what Eric Spoelstra can, make the entire team do. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, real quick, we're up against the time, so let's go ahead and move on to a couple more series before we get out of here. Let's go to the West Coast. First round, number 1, Warriors versus the Rockets. Warriors already up 2.
No.
What are you talking about?
No, gone, get out.
Well, we still got to talk about it. People are betting based on our predictions. Ken,
go get some easy money.
Ken, any concerns about? I think it's across the board. We think Warriors are gonna win. Any concerns about Curry's injury?
A little bit, but there was an MRI that came out that said they didn't see anything of significance. But we all know how ankle injuries are, and they can manifest themselves at any time. They don't need him to beat the Warriors. That much is evident, and it's really, really sad and despicable to watch the Houston.
He said despicable.
I can't stand it, man. I would have really, really preferred Utah.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Year.
Agreed. Adam Silver should have vetoed. Say, hey, yo, look, Houston, take a picture. That's what his mind is anyway.
Yeah, it's a damn shame, man. And Harden he's not doing himself any favors.
None.
He's as bad as Toronto is when it comes to the playoffs. He's terrible. And he don't. Anyway, I think Curry would be fine. I would sit him, but he wants to play. Let him play. Well, the way the Rockets play, he only may need to play half a game anyway.
Right. Yeah, that as Kim mentioned, they did have an MRI on Steph Curry's ankle. MRI came back fine. He's still listed as questionable for Thursday night's game, but you got to figure with rest and treatment, he should be ready to go. If they sit him, then they really feel like they can win this series in full without him, which they can. So trust and believe. I think as bad as Curry ankle, what we think it may be, I think if they were playing the Spurs tomorrow, he'd be playing. So,
how are you not getting Dwight Howard shots in the paint? I don't understand. It's just
garbage.
But Howard's not the player that he once was, though. He's a shell of himself.
That's because he's not getting the ball. The dude quit. Listen. I'm not arguing with any of you about Dwight Howard's talent, his will to win, his desire to play.
What do you mean his will to win? Where is it?
But that's what I'm saying. You have to still play this game. At least, look, you're letting Bogut outplay you, Dwight Howard.
Shell gonna stab you for that one.
Yeah.
Shell gonna stab you.
Yeah. Shout out to our homegirl Cheryl, who's I guess she's on tour. She was at the Warriors game she was at the first 2 games, and now she's gonna be at the game 3. So shout out to Cheryl for going to all the games.
Yo, man,
Warrior mom.
Yeah, she's on tour. So last series, Clippers Trailblazers. FIFO, how do you see this one playing out? The Clippers are up 1-0. FIFO must have disappeared. Ryan, what about you, Ryan? How do you see the series playing out?
If the Clippers keep their defense in their peak playing level like they just did in the first game, it's going to be really tough for Portland. But Portland's got a little bit of that never say die attitude as well. So I think they could push it to 6 or 7. But I'm still gonna pick the Clippers. But I really am interested in this Portland team, like defying odds. Like I would, if they win tomorrow, I might end up just flipping it just to say pick Portland in 7. So I got the Clippers, but the thing is, Blake Griffin, yeah, he had a good game, but he still doesn't look right to me.
Okay.
His
What about you,
still
Q?
doesn't look right, and I'm
Uh, yeah, I'm completely opposite of Ryan. I think the Clippers got this in 6, um, 6 or 5 to be honest. I like Portland, man. Y'all know I love Damian Lillard. I called it 2 years ago. I said that the Trailblazers would beat the Rockets in 6 games. They beat them in 5 games. I've been a stand. I've been standing. I think this kid is the future because he can go for 50 at any moment. He's a microwave. That being said, Chris Paul's too much. DeAndre Jordan's too much on defense. And the Clippers have a much more well-rounded team than the Trailblazers. But Damian Lillard and TJ last name, I forget his last name.
McCollum, yeah.
TJ, those two, they can combine for 60, 70 anytime. So I have the Clippers in 6 or 5. I'm going to say 6.
All right. What about you, Ken?
Can we really trust the Clippers?
I saw that last night. I saw that.
Round, not the second round,
man. I don't know.
All right, they should beat Portland. Portland's kind of regressing a little bit. And I like McCollum. McCollum has learned that it's a long season, especially when you play in the playoffs, as well as the regular season. But Clippers, for all intents and purposes, should win this series. Who they'll get next? The Warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another wasted year for Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. But they'll be gone.
Yeah, I like the Clippers in this series, probably going 6. I give Dame Lillard and the Blazers, all the credit, because if you look at the landscape of how that team was when the season started, based on what they lost, you couldn't have told me that they would even make the playoffs. So I think for them to make it this far says a lot. It says a lot about what Lillard has done. Terry Stotts has had, a great year as far as coaching. So I think the Clippers is just too much, really, for them to. It's going to be too much for Portland to overcome. FIFA, what about you, man? How do you see the series, Blazers and Clippers?
I think you hit the nail right. Damn, whatever the first, however that
nail on the head.
Yes, but yeah, man, it's too much. Portland's another team that needs a national because we all really ruled them out before the season. So mad kudos to them. All hail Dame Lillard because you are that guy. I say you was inconsistent last year.
Top 5? Top 5?
Yeah, 5-point guard, hands down. He proved that this year. Because you traded away pretty much your whole starting lineup, and he was the reason why they made the playoffs in the West. So I give him all the credit for that, but Clippers is just too much. And I agree with you, Ryan. This Blake isn't all the way back yet. He missed a very long time. So, he's just not all the way back. His bounce don't look the same.
He's playing through a torn quad.
Yeah. But he still has skills and he's still gonna be an asset out there. But you heard it here first. Because unlike you, a lot of my shit does happen. What? DP will be in Cleveland, so will Carmelo.
Oh, Lord.
You heard it here first.
The dream team happening.
Trying to team up, man.
The dream team is
telling you.
happening.
I'm tired of these
Kyrie's
teams
gonna
trying
go
to
to the
team up, man. Why
Clippers.
don't you just draft players like Golden State did?
Hey, look, man.
So Kyrie's going to the Clippers?
Yep, for CP.
You just made his day.
I'm with you there. I said that 2 months ago. But
Yeah,
Carmelo, I
yeah.
don't
He
think
said
so.
that on the podcast.
Hey, look, man.
All right, man.
Carmelo not gonna be in New York next year.
Hey,
He better not.
We only got a few minutes left. As customary, we hit everybody with our parting shot before we get out of here. It's just little things we're thinking about. So I'm pretty sure Ryan and Q, since they're new to the show, they need a little time to think of their parting shot. I will leave you with mine. My parting shot is for Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel is not, and I've said this before in this show and several shows, Johnny Manziel is not a NFL quarterback. Johnny Manziel is a guy who was a very good college quarterback, but he's not an NFL quarterback. And I think he should stop playing with people's emotions and leading to believe that he wants to play in the NFL. He don't want to play football. He doesn't. You look at the statement that he released today. He wants to take care of his issues if he wants to play football. When you get to the NFL, it's not about if. You either do or you don't. And one thing I do know about the NFL, there's 1,000 guys waiting on your position. So when you get cut, this is going to open up something for somebody else. I think Johnny Manziel needs to get his life together. Football is always secondary. FIFO, parting shot?
I'm going to forego mine because I want to hear what Ken got.
Okay, we'll save Ken for
That's
last.
That's my favorite target right there. He's going at.
Ryan, give us your parting shot.
All right, I got a couple things. Make it quick.
Yeah, make it quick.
Make sure follow Off the Bench, folks. If you guys haven't been listening to the podcast on Audio Boom, sometimes Ken chops up the clips and puts them on here for YouTube, or he'll put the whole thing as one, depending like how fluid Q and I go. So the Twitter is OFFTHABENCH. Also, we will be having a guest on in the near future for the draft. He is a writer at SB Nation. That is Dakota Schmidt. That's my boy. At some point, we'll have that going in the future, like I said. But keep going. We're trying to do recording like once a week, see how it goes, depending on our schedules. And we send over the file, and it gets out when it gets out. So make sure you follow Twitter. And, of course, subscribe to Dylan Sports First, always. Celtics in 7.
Yeah, right. And what about you, Q? Parting shot.
Parting shot. My parting shot really is a parting shot. I want to give congratulations to Kobe Bryant for his 20-year career. Kobe's the reason why I wear this nappy ass afro. He's the reason why I wore number 8 in high school. And I will always remember 62 3/4. Congratulations on your 15-year anniversary, even though she wasn't with you shooting in the gym. And much respect, much love to the Bryants, you know what I'm saying? And I will always remember 62 3/4 and 81. Will always be one of the greatest shooting guards ever. Long live Kobe Bryant.
Oh, well, let me add something. You just made me think about something real quick. I want to say a quick prayer for Kobe and his family. It was kind of crazy that everybody was there for the accolades and everything like that, but his parents weren't there, and I think that's sad. And his beef with his parents. You only get one mom, you only get one dad. I hope they squash the beef they have. I'm sorry for having 2 parting shots, but you just made me think about that. Pray for that man's family. I mean, I can't imagine going through that. Not you getting all those accolades and everything like that. And the world is there for you, but the people who birthed you aren't there. So, Kenneth, it's on you. What you gonna do?
Jason Whitlock said that it's a shame that Kobe's parents weren't there, and he said that if Shaq could be there, then his parents should be there, and that he should try to mend the fence. How do you know, of all people, Jason Whitlock, that Kobe didn't invite his parents and they turned him down? Mm-hmm. What would you say if he invited Shaq and Shaq turned him down? Why are you criticizing the relationship that Shaq and Kobe, who mended the fences, have right now, and thinking that Shaq is being the bigger guy because he's there? Kobe was on Shaq's podcast. They talked about it. They've worked their issues out. Mm-hmm. Why are you, Jason Whitlock, you need to sit down. There always have to be one, and I'm not surprised it was you, to be the contrarian after Kobe's moment. To sit here and say that Kobe was narcissistic and selfish. You know who's narcissistic and selfish? How about you, Jason Whitlock? That's why the undefeated never got off the ground. Because you thought you were the man and you were not, and they got rid of your ass. And you were selfish. You were so damn selfish that, and among the quotes of great authors and stuff like that, and coaches, you decided to include yourself. Who are you but somebody that want to be somebody that ain't nobody, but somebody who's got the token on Colin Cowherd's show? That's all you are right now, because they know you're gonna take this position against everybody. This dude, man, like when I'm listening to all of this stuff that he's saying, just really just criticizing that moment, really dogging Kobe, and then have the nerve to say he's a wolf and it's time to hunt and eat. And he was even conflicting his own points. He's talking about, oh, you know what, my issue isn't with Kobe, it's with the sheep. Then if your issue isn't with Kobe, why are you attacking Kobe? You know, why are you saying that Kobe's taking shots at LeBron? Just enjoy the moment. Have it. Why are you saying that he was the greatest Jordan impersonator ever? Well, yeah, maybe he was. But you know what? How many people can actually do it? Here's the thing. But Kobe, you may have criticized Kobe for being selfish, Kobe for wanting to be the best player he was. But what Kobe has done over his 20-year career, what do we hear about Kobe? Kobe is always working. Kobe is always in the gym. Kobe is always trying to get better. Kobe has shown kids that you cannot take shortcuts. Kobe had talents, he had skills, he had gifts, but he had to go in the gym and he had to work to be the guy that he ultimately ended up being. And if he wanted to go out there and emulate Jordan, out of all of the people, and I think somebody called in the show and said that, he said everybody wanted to do that. Kobe was talented, he worked hard enough, and he was able to do it. So why criticize that man for that when there are a lot of kids who's hearing and like, you know what, I want to be like Kobe. But in order to be like Kobe, or in order to take advantage of the skills and gifts and abilities that I have to work at it. It's not going to be given to me. And that's really part of Kobe's legacy. But you want to sit here and tear the man apart. You're the one that's narcissistic. Because if you wasn't narcissistic and selfish, you would have went along with everybody else and congratulated that man. But you wanted the limelight to be on you, and that's why you took the position you took.
Tell him, Ken.
It's lit. It's lit.
10 mode out.
In case you're watching Jason Whitlock, eat a fat one.
Bars.
Hey,
Ether.
make sure that you follow Off the Bench, Ryan and Q. You guys, this is not the last time you'll see them. They're gonna be filling in from time to time, as you know. Sometimes we won't be here, or maybe one or two of us. Shout out to BZ430 who couldn't make it tonight.
Q, hit him with the impression.
Yes, do it.
What impression?
You didn't listen to the podcast, Kyle? You
No,
didn't
I
listen to the
didn't hear it
podcast?
I didn't hear it yet.
When you go to the Detroit segment on YouTube, or if you listen to the whole thing, just wait till Q does Beezy's impersonation.
Oh, okay.
Y'all
You should do it right now.
Go listen to that. That's,
Okay. I'll definitely check
You
that
should
out.
do it right now.
So make sure that you guys check out the podcast. Make sure that you check out and subscribe to Off the Bench.
Man, we all right.
Follow them on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Dead End Sports. Make sure that you check out all of our stuff. So that's going to do it for us for this week. For Beasley in his absence, FIFO, Ken, Ryan, and Q, I'm your host, 12 Kyle. We'll holler at you next week. Peace.
peace.
Peace out.